Hey everyone, it's Steven Santilli here. Welcome back to the channel. Today is the first episode of a new series I like to call 5 Most Iconic. Today we're going to look at 5 of the most iconic rock metal performances of all time. Let's get right into it. In 1991, Metallica played the Monsters of Rock Festival in Moscow, Russia in front of 1.6 million people. Riding off the huge success of the Black Album at the time, Metallica was one of many bands to play that night. Other bands playing that night included were AC/DC, Pantera, among many more. Metallica is labeled as the most raw and most energetic band to play that day because they even had the military jamming and singing along to ballads like Enter Sandman and Harvester of Sorrow. This is one of Metallica's most famous performances, not just because there was 1.6 million people, which was a record at the time, but because Metallica gave off such raw energy and the crowd fed off that energy and fed it back to the band. James Hetfield moving around the stage with, veins in his neck bulging, and, Jason Newsted, headbanging all night, just gave off this energy, and this will go down in history as Metallica's greatest performance ever of Enter Sandman. Not even just Sandman, just overall one of Metallica's greatest performances of all time. So let's take a look at a little clip of Enter Sandman by Metallica, Monsters of Rock, Moscow, 1991, 1.6 Pearl Jam's song Jeremy is the third single off their 1991 debut album 10. Pearl Jam vocalist Eddie Vedder wrote the song after seeing a newspaper article about a boy named Jeremy who shot himself in front of his English class in January of 1991 to get revenge on the kids for taunting him and pretty much just bullying the kid overall, not realizing that the kid's parents did not care for him, and the kid pretty much, took care of himself because his parents just saw him as an outcast. In 1992, Pearl Jam came on to MTV Unplugged to perform a whole list of some of their hit songs. Jeremy was on the Billboard Top 100s at the time, debuting at number 5. This song was making headlines everywhere. It was getting radio play almost everywhere. It was a part of the mainstream media, and almost everyone knew the words to the song at the time. So it was just right for Pearl Jam to play it at their Unplugged performance in New York City. Now, after playing this the unplugged version of Jeremy, the song blew up even bigger, the unplugged version even becoming bigger than the recorded album version of the song. So let's take a look at a little clip of MTV Unplugged Pearl Jam Jeremy 1992. Slipknot made their headline debut at Download Festival. Now, Slipknot had a large spot to fill after Faith No More and Def Leppard gave 2 very disappointing performances according to a lot of people there that day. But of course, Slipknot, with their punch-in-the-mouth energy and just overall raw enthusiasm, gave us the show of their careers. Corey Taylor to this day calls it the show of their career. Now, at the end of their show, during their encores, they like to play their hit song, Spit It Out, in which they do a little segment where they make the crowd pretty much turn into one big mosh pit. Now, there was about 90,000 people there that day, and when Corey told everyone to get on the floor, Slipknot officially broke the record for the most people on the ground in England at one time in England history. Not only that, but after ordering the crowd to jump up, the crowd went nuts, and one of the biggest mosh pits in England history and one of the biggest mosh pits in Download Festival history. Download Festival then became Slipknot's home for a very long time. 10 years late, and even 10 years later, Slipknot still plays Download Festival to this day and calls it one of their favorite festivals of the year. So let's take a look at a little clip of Spit It Out, Slipknot, Download Festival, 2009, 90,000 people.
That's how I set this record straight, cause I don't need no penalties. I'm looking at me, I race, singing my bitch, I'm on their fears. Where you gonna be in the next 10 years? Coolin' all the food, on the ball grades, gonna never win a good guy, gonna make shit. You got sick when they've been out the good. Family singing me, jump the fuck up.
Back on to the MTV Unplugged train, Nirvana played MTV Unplugged in 1991. performing a whole bunch of Nirvana hits, but some covers as well. Nirvana covered the David Bowie song Man Who Sold the World in what may have become one of the biggest Nirvana performances of all time. There's not much that can be said about this performance, but the fact that Kurt Cobain has some of the greatest vocals of all time of his career in this performance, in my opinion. And I just think overall, The Man Who Sold the World, Nirvana, MTV Unplugged was one of the greatest Nirvana performances of all time. Let's take a
listen. We passed upon the stairs, spoken walls and
of part 1, we're going to talk about Metallica's Seattle 1989 performance of Master of Puppets. Now, to open this performance up, Metallica's former bassist Jason Newsted played a little tribute to Cliff Burton, Metallica's bassist who passed away in 1986, with the band still going through this grieving phase, having Cliff only died 3 years prior to this album and this tour. This was Jason's first tour with the band. Now, Seattle 89, what makes the show so big was Metallica's energy. It was the first time anyone's seen Metallica in this really energetic state, and the crowd giving them that energy was amazing in Seattle 1989. The performance opened up with Jason Newsted playing a little tribute to Cliff Burton on the bass, with James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett joining in with him to finish this little solo in memory of Cliff. Now, once the solo wrapped up, the song quickly jumps right into Metallica's power ballad Master of Puppets, which is about drug abuse and, you know, the experience that these guys have had with people they knew that had drug abuse. So then it goes into Metallica's all-time greatest performance of Master of Puppets, hands down one of the most raw, energetic performances of that song Metallica's ever done. So let's take a quick look and a little sneak peek of Metallica's performance of Master of Puppets, Seattle, 1989. And that's going to do it for 5 of the most iconic rock metal performances of all time, part 1. Part 2 is coming very soon. Let me know if you guys enjoy content like this, and give me some suggestions down below of 5 iconic blanks that you would like me to cover. I'm Steven Satilli with The Reckless Methods Show, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.